Hey guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. And today's game up on the tabletop is called Flutter by Phase Shift Games. Flutter is a 2 to 5 player game that takes roughly 45 minutes to play and is for ages 8 and up. And in the game Flutter, you're basically doing a bit of tile placement. You'll use this rondel here where you move the sun token, gathering tiles adjacent to it, placing them down, connecting side to side to any other tiles in the rondel area, and then attempting to score petals. These petals will be used for enclosures. You'll score points as you enclose other tiles, as you place water tiles in fully enclosed places, and at a certain point, when one of these stacks runs out, or enough stacks run out to the point where there's none left, then the game is going to end. I'll show you how to play the game and how to set the game up, and of course, my review. Let's get into it. To begin set up the game Flutter, the first thing that you do is have each player select a player board. And depending on the number of players playing the game is how many player boards, B tokens, and these pollen markers you will get. Place all the pollen markers on the 0 space on your track and create kind of a square formation so that there's space between all of the players. Take the B tile and place it within reach of all players in the middle with lots of space, and then a side will be where the rondel is. There are 5 different tile sets. Shuffle them up and place them to create a circle, and then remove them based on the number of players playing the game. Only playing with 2 players, get rid of 6 of each of the tiles from the stacks to shorten the game mode, and then take the sun and place it on the smallest tile. The rest of the tiles are blue, shuffle them and place them face down, put them in the middle of the rondel where you can gather and select them when the time comes, as well as of course the big stack of victory points can be set aside as well. Any other player boards and petal tokens can be set aside if you're not using them, and then you're ready to begin the game. Flutter is played in turns, and each player is going to take their turn by taking all of the steps in order and then passing. And the next player clockwise will do the same, and you will rinse and repeat until one of these stacks is fully removed, in which the end game will trigger. I will go first. I'm the first person to grow wings and fly away, so I will start the game. And how it works is you start off by rotating the sun. That's step 1. You'll take the sun marker from the small tile and you'll place it to the nearest clockwise tile stack. If this is the first turn of the game, however, you don't do that, just leave it there. But for every additional turn, you'll simply be moving the sun for each player's turn at the start of their turn so that it continually goes clockwise around the board. Then you're going to select a tile. Typically, you'll probably select the tile that is to the right of the sun, clockwise, the first tile. However, if you do not want that tile for any reason, you can select the next tile, but you have to pay petals equal to the color and the number of tile in the clockwise order. So if I didn't want this blue butterfly and I wanted instead a yellow hummingbird, I have to pay 1 blue petal to get the yellow hummingbird. If I didn't want either and I wanted this like dragonfly that's red, I would pay 1 blue petal, 2 yellow petals, and then I would take the dragonfly. And rinse and repeat, so it's 1 blue, 2 yellow, 3 red, 4 purple, in which case you can take the tile that the sun is currently on. So a total of 10 petals just to get the tile that you're on. Otherwise, the first one is always free going clockwise. So typically speaking, and especially for the first game, since you start with no petals, you'll be taking the first tile in the stack. And then you will place the tile. Tile placement's pretty simple. You have to make sure that edges connect, and then when edges connect, they connect to create a flower of sorts. And you will attach it so that they connect from flower to flower, edge to edge. And you'll have to at least make 1 flower. Once you do, you're going to go ahead and check each of the flowers that you've made, or partial flowers. If your color of the tile that you placed matches the color of the tile that you placed, or the tile that was on the board, you'll score petal points. So I have 2 purple here and a rainbow. Rainbow isn't any color, so I would get 2 purple plus the rainbow, which is 3 purple. I have 2 yellow here, and I'm attaching it to another yellow. Thusly, I'll get 3 yellow. So you get 3 yellow and 3 purple with this placement here. I don't get the purple one because I didn't match a purple with the yellow purple. Mine was just double yellow. Additionally, if I were to place a tile down that didn't match the color, then I would actually have to pay the cost of the tile I placed. So for instance, if I had placed this yellow tile adjacent to my blue one here, and I put a yellow adjacent to a red, I'm gonna have to pay a yellow and a red tile just to do that. So there is a cost to not actually placing correctly in this game. Once you have placed your tile down and you have scored / grown flowers, scored your petals or grown petals, then you're going to go ahead and pollinate the metal. You'll fill in any pollen pods that you must. So for instance, if you're able to fully block off an area, like there's this like extra blank space, you will take these blue water markers and place them in. And then you will reveal them and score the petals on the bottom of the metal, the bottom of the like water meadow area. And that basically will give you either victory points or will give you additional petals so that no spaces are left blank inside. If you run out of these blue tokens, however, you'll just score a victory point for each one that you would have placed in there, but you no longer can because you're kind of out of tiles. Additionally, you will score enclosed tiles. An enclosed tile is literally a tile that has been completely surrounded on all sides. However, you can't score the B tile, but as an example, this B tile is now surrounded fully, and the player who surrounded it is the player who can score it. And the way you score is by looking at the tiles. In this case, I have a purple butterfly, which has 2, 4, 6, 8 pointers on here. And if I'm able to pay 8 purple petals when I enclose this, I will score 8 victory points, these little markers here. If I can't, or choose not to, my opponents will get half of the victory points instead of me. Scoring the 8, each other player would get 4. So you want to make sure that when you enclose things, you score victory points. After you've checked to see if you have to fill in anything or if you've enclosed any tiles, then you're going to finish your turn by placing your B. Placing your B is simple. Place any tile on the meadow, and then when you do so, you'll end your turn. And that's the game. You go back and forth playing these turns out. There's a few things that you haven't figured out by now because I haven't explained them, like for instance the B, what's the point of the B? Whenever somebody encloses a tile with your B on it, you will instantly get that B back. You'll score 2 points, and then you can place your B on another tile that hasn't been enclosed. And if there are 2 or more players that are on that have been enclosed at the same time on 2 separate tiles, it'll be based on turn order who places first. Bs can only go on a single tile. No other B can go on there, so each individual tile can only have 1 B at any given time. And once you've placed your B out, it's typically going to stay on the board somewhere, moving back and forth along the board. And that's pretty much the entire game. You're going to take the tile, or pay to take a different tile, place the tile, score petals, and when you score petals, then hopefully you don't have to pay any petals by making poor placement. Then you are going to hopefully gain bonuses for filling in or enclosing spaces that are empty, as well as blocking off other tiles to thus allow you to spend your petals to score victory points. When one of these stacks is empty, you're going to score points. Not only will it be all the points that you already have, but if you have any additional points of petals on your board, you can see on this board here a house. If you have 3 of a petal, it's going to give you 1 point, or 18 of another, it'll give you 6 points. You'll add those victory points to your overall score, and whoever has the most is the winner in the game Flourish. That's how the game is played. Flourish is a unique combination of rondelle meets tile placement. You will be utilizing the rondelle to gain tiles, placing those tiles down on the grid, scoring petals, and then hopefully using those petals to score enclosed tiles, as well as enclosing spaces that are empty to give you water tiles to give you more petals and victory points. Avoid trying to cover up your opponent's Bs, giving them points, or not being able to pay for an enclosed tile that you place, and thusly giving your opponents free points. It's all about scoring as many points as possible, utilizing the rondelle, gaining as many petals as you can, and giving your opponents as little value for each tile that you place. Now, sometimes you're going to be forced to give value because your B tile is going to be next to your opponent's. And if you place this big tile, which you now have to do because you don't have the petals you need to buy something else, it's going to assist them in some way. And the same is said for other players as well. There's going to be occasions where they're going to help you, whether it be because they're just out of the kindness of their heart, but mostly speaking because they don't have any better choice. Choice is very important in this game, and trying to watch out for what opponent has what as far as victory points and petals go, what they're aiming to get. Oh, Mike has 8 yellow petals. I know for sure that Mike's next move is probably going to be to place this purple butterfly attached to the yellow one to enclose it, thusly spending the 8 petals, blocking this off, and giving him 8 victory points. And 8 victory points in this game is a lot of victory points. And so knowing that, I could try to mess him up in some way on my turn. Perhaps I play something that kind of blocks the area a little bit to make it a little more difficult or challenging, as well as potentially giving my B an opportunity to score additional points when he has to inevitably play a tile that concludes and blocks off this area. Additionally, too, you will look at the tiles and you'll see all the different sides that are basically the little petal colors. If you don't place matching with matching colors, you not only don't score petals, but you have to pay in order to place it, or you will lose petals. And so you can make something extremely costly for an opponent to want to do something to benefit them in some way, or potentially even make them no longer have the currency. Oh, I know how you needed to have those red petals when you covered up this red butterfly. Well, when you have to place this here, now you lose 2 red petals. I'm forcing you to do that. So there's a little bit of dirtiness that comes in with Flourish. Overall, though, this is just a rondel tile placement game that's abstract strategy, it's light cooperation and light competitiveness as well. How you choose to play the game will determine how the game plays out for you as well, I'm sure. If you're nice to people, people will likely be nice to you, and vice versa as well. The game starts off low scoring, and you slowly start to build up your petals, but as you start to get used to the game, more spaces become available with more spots, allowing you to gain more points of interest for victory points, as well as the flowers becoming larger to score you higher counts of different petal points. You'll start scoring more, placing more, blocking more, protecting more, and giving yourself more points as well. At the end of the game, you're going to have a very big, grand meadow of unique butterflies, moths, hummingbirds, dragonflies, and honeybees. And I think it looks really good. The quality of the game is nice as well. I love these stylized pieces. I love the shine and shimmer to all the different boards. They're of good quality, and they will last. All of the wonderful wooden tokens are excellent as well. And of course the pieces are nice. I love just the wooden aspects to the bees and to the sun. They do a really, really good job of this. So thematically it works very well. Building the puzzle out to kind of the rondel of gathering the animals and placing them out to create the meadow works very well for me, as well as the game, the engine, the fun and excitement of having to play this game. I enjoyed it quite profusely. A few things to be noted too is sometimes you are going to be left with no good decision. At the beginning of the game, you're kind of left with very little choice as to what tile you take and where you place it and how likely you're going to get value. Some people might just get slightly more value than you, and you have to kind of have a little bit more knowledge and understanding of where to place, like the better placements in the game midway through to kind of outweigh some of the poor optimization that you kind of had at the beginning. Being able to figure out how to create spaces that provide value for you, like for instance, creating a little empty square triangle space is potentially going to give you additional victory points. But if you can actually do 5 or 10 of them in a single space, you can get a lot of value doing that. And so there are big plays to be made in this game, and big swings can happen by somebody else's poor placement. Not a whole lot of negatives to say about Flourish. This is a wonderful little game with high quality. It's a simple game with a few steps, more steps than I actually thought, having to rotate the sun, select a tile, or pay for a different one, grow the flowers, whether it be gaining them and then losing them. Then you're going to check to see if you have to pollinate by selecting empty spaces and if you blocked anything, and then you place your bee. And of course, if you blocked a space off with somebody else's bee. So for a kind of a light tile placement game, there's a bit of steps involved in this one. This is definitely going to be more in the medium weight categories of these tile placement games. But I love me a rondel. I love me a tile placement. I'm not so good at the puzzling aspect, but I didn't even mind that for this game. This is a solid game. I really, really enjoyed it. My wife would probably give you the biggest recommendation for it because she loves games like this, and this game, well, of course, worked out in her favor once again, not so much in mine. But overall, as it stands, I really, really enjoy Flutter. And if this seems like a game for you, there's a link down below. Thank you guys for watching another Unfiltered Gamer board game review for the game Flutter by Phase Shift Games. This one's kind of a retreat from their typical throw stuff on the table and then do stuff. This one is actually more like, I don't know, like placed. Like there's like things and places and stuff like that where you're like taking from here and building a thing. You're not just like chucking everything on the table and saying what happens. So like Dungeon Drop and the Drop Drive and their new one too, the workshop game. This one just you're actually just playing a normal game. Just kind of threw me for a loop, but I really, really enjoyed it still. No, I just wasn't expecting it. If you're interested, like I said, there's a link down below in the description for you to pick up the game Flutter. My wife would strongly recommend that you do so. And you can also, if you'd like, subscribe to the channel. Hit that subscribe button, the bell notification button, so you can see more of our videos. We do live streams. We play games on our Sunday night live stream. games just like Flutter here. Flourish. Flourish is probably another game I'll review pretty soon here. Yeah, my brain is out. I'm tired. I stayed up way late last night, but hopefully the video still came out well, and hopefully you have an idea of whether or not you want to pick up the game Flutter.